This is good. We're going to go back to the partnership side. And I think, using the data tool, and that's why I wanted Tyler to speak kind of before me, is really important. And we had Michael talk about partnerships, and we had Tiara give data on partnerships. And so I hope that this can kind of round out your partner marketing strategy and how to work with partners in this ecosystem. This is, to me, Shopify specifically, the app and agency partner ecosystem. It is extremely unique. You're not going to find another group of tight-knit, even in competitive spaces, like on the agency side, or Mike works with or knows a lot of other SMS providers. They're all friends, and they're all willing to keep in touch with each other and talk about the industry. So I think it's really important that that we dive in and we continue to build those relationships. And sadly, we couldn't all grab a beer together at Debrief this year. And thank you to Kier from Debrief, who helped kind of spread the word about this event, if you came in from the Debrief channel or anything like that. But all right, so getting into it, not too much to say about myself. I have a long history of working in e-commerce and e-commerce technology, running agencies, invested in the company, sold the company. You're probably already a tech or agency partner, so that you're probably in the right place. What we've done with our business, we built an entire business model around the strength of the Shopify App Ecosystem. We have over 150 partners now. We do over, probably at this point, over 100 consultations with merchants. And so these tech consults are talking to merchants on a regular basis about what tools what tool industries they're thinking about adding to their stack, where there might be gaps in their technology tool stack, where I might see opportunities that they don't see. Like a lot of times SMS is one of those things. Sometimes customer service is one of those things. And certainly if you're a Shopify app here today and we're not partners already, I'd love to learn about your tool so that I can better present that to merchants in my next conversation with them. And through partnerships directly, tech partnerships, almost completely tech partnerships, we've been able to grow our own audience email list and registrant numbers. I mentioned the outbound. Aside from the outbound, it's like the partnership channel is by far how we get event registrants. And again, event registrants trickle down into business for us. And I believe in the Shopify app ecosystem specifically, as Roman pointed out, it is a great way to generate new business for your app and your business. And so partnerships are just a huge way to drive that. I also want to caveat and give you another sneak peek at this if you're here at the beginning. We're building out a tech landscape, not a Venn diagram, but a little bit of a theft of Scott Brinker's tech landscape. And I'd love to make sure that you're included on this. We're just getting started with it, and this will have 300 logos on it, by the time we release it in a few months. And yes, we even have some sponsorship spots available on this thing. This is the very rough draft. It'll look a little cleaner when we get closer. So there are 5 new apps today launching in the Shopify app ecosystem. And we already know e-commerce is taking off while retail, and this is before COVID, retail is going out of business. So our space is blowing up, and this is obviously why we really need to be thinking about the endless opportunity of partnering with new technology providers and new agencies. I'm going to stop saying technology and agency. I'm just going to say tech, but you can assume agency is in there as well. And so I wanted to show you a little bit about how I reverse engineered this partnership strategy into our business. The journey starts at Rebrandly, where I was consulting for them, and I saw that their free tech tool was getting 100 email leads a day. I was operating an agency at the time, and it took us months to get like 5 email leads. Like, it's really hard as an agency to get email leads. So I said, oh my God, tech companies and tech tools get tons of email leads, right? Their lists are just growing like every day. I mean, you can chime in and chat how many free trials you get every day, how many email leads, how many leads do you get from the Shopify App Store alone, right? And so these are email addresses that are valuable. There's people behind them. Those people have businesses, and it is great to tap into that resource and market to them. Then I moved on to working directly with the partnership team at Gorgeous. They had 4 different types of partners. I saw that they had tech partners, and then of course underneath tech partners we could say integration partners. They have agency partners, and then in their case they have industry partners, which are outsourcing partners, people that actually fulfill on the customer service. You might have some form of an industry partner related to that. And I said, wow, all of these partners talking to each other, really helping Gorgeous grow, but at the same time Gorgeous is helping them grow. And so you could see, that mutually beneficial relationship really happening there. And then I noticed one thing as you would scroll through these apps, app after app after app in the Shopify ecosystem, anybody that's a serious player in this space, and it's totally fine if you're small app or just starting out, anybody that's serious has a partner program. They have a partner manager. They are dedicated to the growth of their partnership program. So this is a trend within a trend within a trend. E-commerce is the big trend. And then we have Shopify apps, right? 5 apps a day. And I heard that there was like John from StoreTasker, I think mentioned 65 apps in a week, like as a record or something like that, some number like that. And then underneath apps, we see that the majority of most successful apps have extremely robust and successful partner programs. And so a trend within a trend within a trend. This is something that we should be really thinking about for our business. And I think everybody can agree, every Shopify app wants more merchants. Growth is always the goal. And since e-commerce is growing so quickly, it's almost impossible to hit our upper bound at this point. The industry is growing faster than we can get merchants. I don't think anybody right now is getting merchants faster. Even Shopify is competing for merchants against Magento. So even the apps the stores that start on Shopify, there's no technology tool that is able to just get that merchant right away. And so we're always having to market to them. And for that reason, we'll always be looking for somebody with a slightly different audience pool than us that we can pull from. And then finally, every time we get a lead from partner, and actually I should flip this statement around. I noticed this at Gorgeous, and I hinted at it with Roman. Every time we gave a lead to a partner, like Aircall was a great partner, or is a great partner with Gorgeous, they would send somebody back, and I was like, did they just like pop this lead out of nowhere? Were they sitting on it? And like, what is the reason why a lead just comes out of thin air directly after we give one to them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't they just kind of trickle in naturally? It doesn't make sense that it's always tied to this. But this is the truth about partnerships in our landscape, in the Shopify app and technology landscape. There's 2 key drivers of what'll get you leads through partnerships. First one is recency, and that's recency of contact with your partner. You always get a referral within a few weeks of having just talked to a partner. Maybe you sent a newsletter to them. Maybe you had a real conversation with them. Maybe you did a webinar with them. You are more likely to get a lead from a partner when you talk to them recently. And that's because you're top of mind. And that's just how it works. So if I send a lead to the partner manager at a company, they're more likely to go, oh yeah, Derek sent us a lead recently. I just talked to this brand. Actually, they'd be a great fit for Derek. Let's have them do a tech stack consultation with him, right? So it works extremely well to be top of mind. And I get it. Partner programs, you might have, we have 150 partners. I might not have talked to all of you this week or last week. I have like 5 partnership calls a week. It's exhausting. It's a full-time job. It is a lot of work, but the more people we can have a regular conversation with, and also this is getting kind of meta, which is weird, but more people we can have a genuine conversation with and maybe talk about a new feature announcement or a change of the roadmap or an event that you have coming up, the better it will be for you and getting leads from that partner. And then secondly, and most importantly, because with 150 partners, and as you start to grow your network of partners, you need to know who to focus in real deep partnerships and who is somebody that it's good to know, but you can't spend a lot of time on the relationship right now because either their audience is smaller, there's less overlap, you're out of time. You just really do have to focus on the partners that are going to drive the most value to you. And I think personally, we should all be honest about it. Like I'll be honest about myself. We run a small media and events company. We can't send leads to everybody. It's not as large as a Shop Talk or anything, eTail West or any of those larger events. I do think that we'll grow into that one day. but right now we're small and growing. And so I like to be honest about, the number of leads I can bring to specific partner relationships. And having done so many partnerships, just kind of off topic, I can tell you that my lead flow to each, I have a really good feel for it based on how many conversations I'm having with merchants, what they're always asking about. They always ask the same 3 questions. Let me see if I can get these 3 questions. Now I'm just ranting, by the way. Heyo for side rants. This is Derek's way of giving you stuff. They always ask, how can I load my site faster? Can you do anything about getting conversion rate optimization, getting me, better conversion on my website? And then usually there's something about like, well, what about, driving new customers or something like that? And so that one kind of spreads the gamut of loyalty, referral, influencer, and acquisition kind of oriented tools. So that's those are always the main questions that I get personally. So if Gorgeous is a customer service help desk. I don't get to recommend a customer service help desk to that many merchants, but anytime they do say that problem, I definitely make sure that they're part of the conversation, right? And so understanding your partners and when you're going to talk to your customer. So let me throw out an example. We've got OmniConvert here. They've got a great survey tool. They have a conversion platform, right? So if they're doing a partnership like with Gorgeous, a customer service help desk, just to keep it simple, you can see that there's not always going to be a huge overlap between this whole talking to the head of marketing on optimizing a certain form of the website or getting that customer feedback and analyzing that data and building out a recency, frequency, monetization, I think this is the third one, model into all that. You can see how that's not really overlapping with an operations department and operational efficiency and answering customer service questions. And so it's going to be harder for the 2 businesses to refer business back and forth between each other, but certainly it's not impossible. And so each partner in this situation needs to enable the other partner by helping them guide them by giving a few cues as to when to possibly recommend the other partnership tool. And then also just accepting that, like, the Passover, the lead exchange will be low. And in that way, you might assume that there'll be a different tier partnership. So here's what I do recommend for you as you grow a partner program is fitting partners into certain tiers, A, B, and C. And C doesn't always mean small. It can just mean less overlap with what you're going to be doing and less of a lead flow or prioritization from you. But obviously your A partners are when your tool, your app directly complements that app, right? So with AirCall and Gorgeous, it's a phone call customer service tool with a customer service help desk. Clear, direct integration and overlap, and really easy to sell one from the other. With other tools and services, it might be a little bit more complicated. I'm thinking of like pop-up tools like Privy. What's interesting is that a lot of their partners are now becoming their competitors as they move into email, SMS, and probably into Messenger and other channels and stuff in the future. And so it's like, but obviously they're collecting email leads. So they should be talking to tools that can follow up on those email leads or maybe increase loyalty or things like that, because that's that conversion rate optimization. In fact, maybe they're good with OmniConvert because I don't remember if OmniConvert has a pop-up tool. You'll have to tell me, Juliana, but I don't think so there might be overlap. There might be more of an opportunity to work together and sell each other together that way. So just again, thinking through how that tool or service, agency service, complements yours, and then giving the A, B, and C rating to that partner. And you can be upfront with them about what tier partnership and how much time you think you could spend together with them. Now, here are a few of the things that you should be thinking about doing with your partners. I want to start with integrations because I've talked with a handful of e-commerce technology companies recently who way undervalue integrations. One of them in particular was it was the CEO of a large marketing tool company. I'll leave it at that. And he said, Derek, I don't get it. Why would I need an integration with that tool? And I said, here's all you need from that integration is just for them to pass the email address to you. And he's like, well, that's really basic. You could just use Zapier. You could do all these other things. I was like, but here's what you're going to use the integration for. You're going to get listed on their integrations page. You're going to have a closer relationship with their marketing team and their partnership team. You're going to get leads from them. So the integration is super basic, but the value of the partnership is the reason to do it. And they want the same thing. They want your business to flow to them. And so it's a clear, mutually beneficial relationship, a very small amount of tech investment, and all of a sudden you have a strong lead flow from one app to another. You're both listed on each other's integrations page. And so for that reason, I think that integrations, Roman talked in the opening keynote about prioritizing product. Integrations becomes prioritized on the product board, productboard.com prioritization feed. You don't just go with the one that the most customers have as a tool. You don't just go with, we just saw with store leads that there's this overlap. You don't just go with the one with the highest overlap. You actually go with the one that can drive you the most business and provide value to the customers the most at the same time. So you kind of blend the two in a model that can help you reprioritize either larger apps, faster growing apps, or complementary apps, and start integrating with them in a way that can drive serious business to you. And so that's my rant on integrations. I think it is it's used as a partnership channel and as a strategy, but I think that it can be more strongly used by a lot of apps out there. Next up, we have events. Obviously, we're at an event, so again, a little meta. But and I've talked a lot about events. If you haven't been to one of our e-commerce events, I do recommend going there. Obviously for merchants, but you could enjoy them, and you can see how we structure these back-to-back sessions, jam-packed full of value for the merchant. We don't want to, and this is why joint webinars below it, it's not as powerful, because the problem with a joint webinar is that if it's just two partners, it becomes two pitches. So I pitch your audience about my product, and then you pitch your audience, my audience about your product. And then the value of each of that is 50% of the audience is wasting 50% of their time. And that's not really a great reason to attend a joint webinar. And that's why they tend to have lower attendance ratings. And so for that reason, I recommend promoting larger scale events or aggregating a half dozen, a dozen individual speakers from apps. And remember what I said at the beginning, app partners have email leads. You get lots of emails, downloads, installs. And so they typically have a large list. I do always strictly enforce in my events that all partners and sponsors email their list at least once, hopefully twice, if not more, to help promote the event. And in that way, we're all able to bring that value together, and then share leads appropriately off of the back of it. And so that's how that works in a nutshell between events and joint webinars. Lead sharing is something that we've done in a few different capacities, and it's a little trickier, but it can be really valuable, especially if you're a larger dollar per month tool, because it's going to take a little bit of a time investment, and it's a little bit more of a business development strategy. Here's what it looks like. I might give you, I'm going to start a spreadsheet. I'm going to start a Google Sheet with you. And on one tab, I'm going to put all the domain names of my customers or my email list, whatever it is. And on the second tab, you're going to put all the domain names of your customers or email list. And if you want, we could hash these to anonymize them, but usually there's enough trust to do this. And then we're going to see the matching ones. We obviously don't need to sell to these people. And then I might take the ones that you have that I don't, and prioritize them using data from store leads. So I'll go enrich that data. I'll niche it down to a handful of prospective new customers, maybe based on a key technology change, or maybe they're growing like mad on Instagram. And in that way, I will ask the partner for an introduction. And so 5 introductory emails, maybe in 1 week. And in exchange, I'll do 5 introductory emails to the people on the other side. That makes sense. It's a good way to start conversations. You can do it this way, or the only other way to do, let's start by saying do it this way. All right, I'll give you the other way. The other way is enabling your customer success and sales team to listen for those hand raises, which I talked about earlier. So it's a little bit more of a partner enablement strategy, but here it's like cold introductions where you really are pretty confident that the merchant does want to know a little bit more. And even if they don't, they could just say not right now. They can pass it back, just pass up the opportunity. But it's not too penetrating, it's not too annoying, and it's not I'm just giving you my email list or a small segment of my email list and you're outbounding them. It's a direct intro, where I say, John, meet Sally. I think you might have a lot of value from using Sally's tool. It complements our tool, it integrates with our tool, et cetera, et cetera. So we can do that. You can also do the email swap promo, which is kind of just, for us, it's a tool of the week often kind of thing. We like to promote one tool every week so that our audience can discover new tools. But for you, it might be promoting somebody else's event, promoting somebody else's product in a way and saying, hey, have you heard about this? The question, of course, here is there actually value in this email to the customers, or are you just going to get a ton of unsubscribes and nobody's actually going to trial out that tool? And that's usually why I prefer to do the email swaps around events, because events are hardcore value for the merchant. A lot of merchants love events, and their teams need to attend these things. They need to be continuously discovering new tools and strategies. And so email swaps around events are significantly more impactful than email swaps around just straight up pitching our product or service. We said it in the chat earlier, we need to provide value, and this is one of the best ways to do it. And then finally, we have blog contributions. Really, in all honesty, I recommend the roundup post contribution. And I think Julian has done this, and a lot of other marketing teams do a great job. You ask like one question to 12 of your partners, and then you get all their responses. You compile an article in that way. Anything deeper than that, like I'm going to do a whole write-up on, just sticking with the two, OmniConvert and Gorgeous. I'm going to do a whole write-up on customer service help desks and post it to your blog. It's typically too much work. It's not going to have a strong impact. Usually that blog audience isn't that large, and probably not that interested in this slightly off topic. They might be a merchant, but they don't care about this topic on that blog. And so for that reason, it's not particularly impactful. If you had an unlimited amount of resources and you were really going with a strong internal content marketing strategy, then yes, you could try and do external blog posts on some of your partner sites, but I would be fairly picky and patient with those opportunities. And I learned this like the hard way, where it's like, blog contribution. Okay, I just spent 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours writing these articles. And it's like, what comes from them? Very, very little ends up coming from that compared to these other opportunities that I've laid out for you here. All right. So on our side, when we talk about sending a lead tends to get us a lead back, I want to start with free exposure. And being totally honest with you, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I do and see and tell you how I structured my business. So it starts with the core partnership, where we have free opportunities within basically what we do as a media company. We have a product listing for apps that people can get up on the site. We have a podcast where we can get small contributions from app partners without having them do a full sponsorship. We do have email opportunities and tool of the week partnership opportunities at sometimes. And we do try and get all of our partners in some form of a contribution to our blog content or in our blog roundups and all of that stuff. And then of course we have our events, and we do have partnership opportunities for our events, which I'm actually about to show you in a second. So the product listing, and we also started, in fact, I won't show you now, but we started an ebook library, which we plan to have by the end of this year. It'll be the largest ebook library for e-commerce in the world. We started a podcast directory, which I believe lists all of the podcasts that are directly in e-commerce, and we're probably the largest list in the world. And then back when we cared, we had our live event listing directory, and we always want to be listing, every single event that's going on. We're going to be working harder in Q3 and 4 towards 2021 to make sure that our virtual event library is well curated and up to date. Virtual events, complete side note here, are a little bit harder to track because they usually only get publicized like a month beforehand, whereas live events that are ongoing are a little easier to spot. And then I already showed you our e-commerce tech landscape, which is a great way to get a small amount of exposures. And that's how we try and help our partners in the free way. And then we give our partners advantages for kind of an exchange program. If you're able to drive registrants to our events, you can get a speaking spot as long as we have space. And then that kind of goes up the more registrants you can drive. And then if you're, and maybe you don't have a large email list, you can still have a spot at one of our events when we have space. We are actually booked in a lot of our events right now. If you're able to do an interview with the Shopify Pro or Plus brand, that meets our diversity and equality initiative. So this is just like, I go through this with all my partners and I'm going through it with you now. These are just some of the free things that I created specifically so that we could drive value to our partners first. And I think you should be thinking about in your partner program, how you might be able to create, it's a little bit of content, it's a little bit of an event strategy, and tie in your partners to that so that you can get them free value right away as well. Here's just our event lineup, which we showed earlier. And then we took it a bit further because we're a media and events company and we're not a tech or agency partner. And so so we said, look, if you drive event registrations, if you send us merchants to do consultations with, if you have us in a podcast, in a webinar or anything like that. And remember, we said earlier, most partners don't really care about making money. So instead we said, we'll give you sponsorship credits so that you can buy some of the things we just alluded to without actually having to spend money. And so that's part of our partner program that we like to show people. And from there, it's either helping to drive leads and share in growing each other's business, or for us, it's paying us for additional sponsorship opportunities and being able to grow through that. Let's see, some quick tips before I finish up here. Partner managers change jobs very often. So when you have 150 partners, you lose like 1 or 2 a week, which is very problematic for keeping in touch with a lot of your partners. So try and get a few additional key individuals inside a company to keep in touch with. That'll be very helpful. Updating your partners with a new change in your business is a great way to reconnect. I mentioned like, oh, we have a new feature, we have a new announcement, we have a new event. For us, we have a new website redesign that I'm going to show you in just a second. And yeah, you have to give them one lead is a really great way to start a partnership. If you can hand one lead to somebody, that's the beginning. And so that's how I recommend reaching out to new partners and focusing and prioritizing on who should be the next person to talk to. Because being completely honest, I talk to so many people and I haven't been great prioritizing it myself, but I've gotten better. You should really only talk to the people in which it feels like either you can give them a lead very soon thereafter, or if there's just a really good fit, like they might be able to give you a lead very early on. But we're always thinking about the value we can provide first in order to, to outreach or connect with somebody and spend the time to get to know their business. So yeah, and then set goals and track the results so that you're not wasting your time with partners that maybe aren't going to provide as much value to you. And it's not to say that those aren't bad people, that you don't want to reconnect with them at a later time. You just have to prioritize. Everyone here is amazing. Everyone in this ecosystem is great. I run into very few bad actors. And so, all right. So yeah, I think here's the process. I don't need to go into it in a nutshell. Here's some of my favorite partners. And if you're not on this list, and you should be, OmniConvert is a great one. There's a lot of people that aren't listed that should be on this list. I just wanted to list them. If you want to become a partner with me, you can book a call. And if you want to follow along on our podcast, YouTube, you can do that. And while I have you here, because this is my event and my event only, I wanted to show you guys what we're up to, because the next year is going to be very interesting for us. So we look to expand into tackling what I call like the G2 Crowd and Capterra side of our business model is ranking well for e-commerce technology tools, providing long form descriptions and product listings for them, and growing our own small audience. We get about 5,000 monthly visitors right now, up into the 50 and 100,000 monthly visitor range. And so this will be our site in the future. There might be some bugs here. It's not live yet. But I wanted to show you kind of the value of this, and we're going to have little sponsor opportunities that you'll be able to list here. So it can just say sponsored. we can get you some additional exposure in our most popular apps, trending apps, and all of our app categories. And in that way, drive more business to you. And all of that, like I said, is done. It can be done completely free if you're driving partner traffic revenue to us. If you're featuring us, if you're sending merchants our way, if you're driving registrants our way. And so it's one or the other. In our case, it's we highly encourage the partnership side. But if it's not through driving business our way, then it's through paying as the alternative. And so I look forward to, showcasing this a little bit more in the weeks and months to come. I'd love to talk to you about getting you listed up on our site. We're working really hard on this. It's going to be a major alternative. You can see this is a bug, so ignore that. But this is what some of the pages will look like. And we're going to be tackling this market really hard. And it's been a pleasure allowing you to listen to me. I hope you learned something a little bit on how to launch a partner program. And I'd love to just continue a strong relationship with you.